Okay, good evening. We're going to start today our class, and we're going to focus first of all in the speaking part. So let's go very quick to this part, and we're going to practice all together part one and also part three of the speaking test. So let's start with these questions, and please, in your house, please practice this answering these questions one by one. Remember that in part one, we don't know exactly which of all these questions they're going to be asking us, but just maybe uh, again, it can be just any of these. But of course, before that, we're gonna have some specific questions like what's your name and what your names are, and also where you're from, what do you do there, or how long have you been studying English, or what do you enjoy most about learning English. So those are like the most common questions. But let's practice some of these questions that we might have. Okay, we have, for example, what has been your most interesting travel experience and why? Well, we have here, we use has been, right? So we have present perfect continuous. So you can answer, well, the most, or you can say, let me see, yeah, it says, you can say the most interesting travel experience has been. And you can say, well, traveling has been going, has been driving. And you can just continue with that sentence and then just answer the question why. Then they also ask you, do you prefer to get the news from newspapers, television, or the internet? We carefully, please notice that they're asking us a yes/no question. So over here is very important for us to answer in a yes no, right? Do you prefer to get news from the newspaper, television, or the internet? Well, you can say, well, we need to be very careful in this part. Even though it's a yes no question, they're giving us different answers. So in a yes no question where when they give three, two, or more answers, then we need to answer directly. For example, you can say just, I prefer uh, getting the news from the television because, and answering this one. So even though they maybe would like to trick us a little bit, answering with a yes no question, but if in that yes no question there are different options, just go directly with a question. Also, the other one says, what do you think is the best way to keep in touch with friends and family? So they give us a superlative. So again, the way to answer with the best way to keep in touch with a friend is by WhatsApp or by whatever. Okay, because remember also if they ask you why, remember answer the other part with because. Then they have how important do you think it is to speak more than one language? So again, it's just simple present. So it is important because da, 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 whatever they want you to, well, whatever your answer will be. Then we have what did, that will be simple past. What did you like most about the area where you grew up? We have here past verb. So in this case, you will need to answer in the past. So you can say, well, uh, what I liked more about where I grew up was, and then you can just talk about different sentences using the past tense. And then over here it says, who has more influence on your life, your friends or your family? Over there was just a common simple present question. So we need to focus on who, right? Who has more influence in your life? So you can say, well, the one who has more influence in my life is my mom, my dad, right? Those are good ways to answer those questions. Then the last one that we're going to have here or that we see here is, do you ever wish you were rich and famous? You see, that one is a yes no question. So, do you ever wish you were rich and famous? Yes. Or no, no, I don't. Or yes, I do. And then why or why not, right? So, in general, those are like the questions that they want for us to answer. And let me just review very quick another part of the test, which is part three of the speaking test, and we have it here. Remember that they give us 2 or 3 minutes. I'm sorry, they give us 2 minutes, yes, to answer in general each of these questions, and then 1 minute to answer the direct question. In this case, the question is, let me just turn this very quick so that we can have the information. Okay, the question is, let me go here, part three. It says, here are some things that people often have to make decisions about, and a question for you to discuss. First, you have some time to look at the task. Remember, they give you some seconds for you to look at this chart. Then they will tell you, now talk to each other about what people might have to consider when making these decisions, right? So for 2 minutes, you need to just talk about what people might have to consider when making these decisions. Well, maybe they need to, for example, for starting a family, well, we need to consider getting married. We need to consider having a good job, all those kind of things. So right now, remember something very important is that in this 2 minute question, we don't need to talk about the best two or the best three. No, no. Just talk one by one. In this case, just talking about, sorry, which will be what do you consider when making these decisions one by one? And then after that, remember you have uh, the uh, the 1 minute question, which is to decide in which situation is the most important to make the right decision. Okay, so turning this a little bit again so that you can check it better. See, okay. So it says what might people have to consider when making these decisions, and then remember talking one by one for these or each of these options, which is choosing a university, starting a family, finding a job, getting married, moving to another country. So that will be part of the speaking test that you will see in your test, right? The speaking test. So maybe I can give you a little bit of time for you to check this information out and for you to practice. Well, you might be alone in your house, so try to just talk in general about all these questions, and then try to also time I mean, while you're talking, try to time yourself to see how much you can talk. Remember that in this part, we don't have. I mean, we in this second part, we we will need to interact with each other, right? But if you don't have somebody, that's okay. Let's just time yourself, and at least you need to talk for 1 minute regarding all these parts. So you can pause a little bit the video and try to talk or just talk in general of all these options for 1 minute. So let's try for that and pause it for a moment, and then we'll continue after you practice this part. Okay, now that we practice this speaking part, it's very important for us to know some grammar parts. And I remember I always like for you to practice the way of using different well, prepositions or phrasal verbs, collocations. Remember, in this test, we need to know all those details. Mostly, this is going to help us not only for the test. Of course, we're practicing for the uh, use of English test, but in general, right? This can help us a lot for in our speaking part and also in our writing part of English. So let's very quick, let's just check these units or the unit 18, and let's check how to use enough, to, very, so, and such. Sometimes we might get confused a little bit using these words. So let's go step by step. So For example, the word enough. Let's see how enough can be used. Well, first of all, after an adjective or an adverb. Okay. For example, if I said the room wasn't large, large we have here it's an adjective, right? So it says the room wasn't large enough to hold everyone, right? Or after an adverb, you haven't worked hard. Hard, we have here an adverb. Remember, hard is one of those adverbs that don't we don't use ly, right? So the adverb of hard is not hardly, will be the same, hard. Okay, so it's very important for us to know that information. Also, before an uncountable or plural countable noun, for example, the car has enough space for 5 people and their luggage. Okay, so we have here that before we have here an uncountable uh, or yeah, I'm sorry, an uncountable noun, which is uh, car has, right? Or there are not enough girls, so we have here a plural countable, enough girls, right? Or enough space. I'm sorry, in this part, the uncountable noun will be space, and here the countable noun will be girls. So it's before, right? Before the uncountable or countable nouns. Then we also have as a pronoun, right? For example, we say enough has been made of these in all the papers. Okay, so we have all these 3 examples, and let's go then to the other example very quick. Remember, try when we are talking in this grammar part, I will suggest for you to have your notebook and for you to write maybe the most important information for you. And also, if you have some specific questions after the class, then you can also send me those questions in a specific and I can help you. Okay, so please try to write the information, but also if you have some specific questions about something, write them down so that you can send that to me when you finish watching the lesson. Let's go then very quick to the other picture here, and well, another way of using enough will be with a modifying adverb. Okay, and in this case, there is hardly. This is I told you that hard doesn't have an adverb, but when we turn it into a modifying one, then it is we use hardly, right? So for example, there is hardly enough memory in the computer, or with certain adverbs or emphasis. For example, uh, funnily enough, we heard from him only last week. So in this case, funnily, it's um, an adverb of emphasis, right? So those are the examples of when do we need to use enough. Then when we use to or and very, remember, we saw a little bit of this, I think, some months ago, but now we are looking or seeing this information in a specific, and I think it's very important for us to see it this way. For example, okay, these words are often confused. Here are the main uses. Each can be used in front of an adjective or adverb, but to indicates an excessive amount of something. Remember, we always talk in class that to, we use it for something negative, right? Where something is very something negative. Or if you say, yeah, that table is too heavy. I mean, if you're using too heavy, that means that you can't lift it up, right? So it's just like in a negative way. Whereas, remember that whereas, the word whereas is but, right? So whereas very is just an intensifier. For example, if I say it is too cold in winter for many plants to survive. So you see, we're using too as a negative part, or that is so cold, or too cold that plants can survive. So it's in a negative way. Or if I just say it is very cold in winter, but a few plants do manage to survive. So I'm not being that negative. Or it's not that no plants can survive at all. Some plants can manage to survive, so that's why I'm using very. Also, to can be used to show that two things or people have something in common. Okay, For example, if I say dictionaries are useful at school and in the home too. Okay, so dictionaries and school, they have something in common. There are both of them are useful, so that's why I'm using too. Or you are Swedish too, aren't you? So uh, you are maybe pointing to people, saying that those people are Swedish, and of course that's what they have in common. Also, note that here to always comes at the end of a clause, right? To, like we have it here at the end, right? For the clause, which is, remember, we ended up with a comma. You're Swedish too, right? So that's why it tells us that it goes at the end of a clause. Also, to can be used for emphasis. For example, if I say computers are much powerful than they were and less expensive too. Okay, so I'm just want to emphasize that in general, computers now are more powerful and also less expensive. To can be used with a quantifier. This is very important. For example, there are too many loose ends to this story, right? We are counting the loose ends, or a lot of people earn too little money to pay tax, right? So that's, again, we are using in a quantifier. Then very quick, and the last part is when do we use so and such? Okay, that's also very important. These words are also confused sometimes. Both can be used for emphasis and to express the same idea, but in different grammatical structures. For example, if I say it rained so much that most of the area was flooded, or there was such a lot of rain that most of the area was flooded. Uh, we have here such is used with as in giving an example of something. Okay, again, let's see here the example. I have, let me see. There was such a lot of rain that most of the area was flooded. So it was just like an example. I'm using this sentence as an example, right? Also, it says here, mm, it's a little bit, let me see if I can read it here. Every ingredient such as cheese and milk are best avoided. So every ingredient such as cheese, so we are complementing or using this this word as the same as example, right? So for example, I can say every ingredient as example as cheese and milk are best avoided, right? So it's substituting the word and an example. Okay, so we have those well, these instructions that are very important for us to know. Now I'm going to give you some time for you to do this. Hi, Andres. Jose, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Andres? Hello? Again? Because, okay, just give me a second. Okay, now what I want for us to do, Jose, is I would like for us to practice a little bit of listening. And let me see if I can find this. Okay. Okay, we have already done this before, but I remember that this was one of the listening parts that was a little bit difficult for you guys, and I just want to see how much you have advanced in the listening part. Remember that here they give us different books, right? For example, King Lear, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, Richard Morgan. We have also here Lindsay Davis, A Body in the Bathhouse. This sounds like a little bit scary, right? Then we have a world without bees, and The Last Detective, Robert Grace. So we have here different books: A, B, C, D, E, and F. And what I would like for us to do in this part is for you to listen to this part, and try to. It says, well, let's read the instructions. It says you will hear five people talking about books they have read recently. Match the books shown above to the five speakers. There is one extra which you don't need. So I just want for you to try to just listen carefully on the details of that person, of what book you think that person has already read. Okay. And I remember that we have done this already, but I remember again that this was one of the most difficult for you guys, like maybe more than 7 months ago. So I think that I just want to see how much you guys have uh, advanced. Okay. So can you see it? Can you see good the books and the
Yeah.
yeah? And do you have something to write down there, like speaker one? Well, depending on what he's saying. Well, for example, E. So you can put speaker one E, book E, or do you have something to write down?
Give me a moment, please. I'm
Okay,
going
sure,
to bring answer
sure.
to my backpack.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Coming soon.
Okay, Jose. Jose, were you able to listen that the the man talking?
Mm,
Can, can you hear it?
no,
You can.
no, I can't.
Okay, let's do something, but I don't know if you can do that. Let's see. I don't know if you can. If I send you the audio on your WhatsApp, I don't know if you can play it and look at the
Let's,
screen at the same time.
let's try it.
Let's
I don't know, but we can try it.
let's try it. Let's try it and see. Okay, let's see. That's what I was trying to see if we can do. At least I know that now we can't. But
Okay, okay.
that's what I was trying to see. But let's wait. Okay, I think you have already received it in the group. So please let me know if you can look at the screen and at the same time. Uh, let's see here.
Sure. I
Uh-huh.
can listen. I can listen the audio, but I can watch.
But you can watch it.
Yeah.
Let me see what we
I
can.
I I only can listen the audio, but I can see you.
Okay. Well, let's do something. I'm going to send you the picture. I'm going to send you the picture, and let me just. A moment. Okay, I'm going to send you the picture, and then maybe
Mm,
you can do it in your house. Okay, once we finish, and
okay.
then once you have the answers, tell me so that I can just send you back the
I send you the answers.
yeah, just send me the answers, and so that we can just check it. Okay, please do that
Okay.
because I think it's very important for us to do that. Okay.
Okay, sure.
Um, yeah. And I might also give you some other practice here, enough, using enough to, very, so, and such. We have another practice that I would
Okay.
like for you to do so that we can practice that also. Okay. Well,
Okay.
let me just go back to the other part here. Okay. Well, since you missed the speaking part, let's let's do it. And I'm just going to see here. A second. Okay, very good, Jose. Okay, so well, we just practice those two parts. I think that in general, just talking about yourself, I think that you are doing very good in conversation, and
Oh,
I
thank
think
you.
that won't be like a problem for you. And I've seen even for part two that you have been doing it better. You know, the ones that I think that part two is like the most difficult parts. Remember to compare and so on. So I think that
Yeah.
you have been doing very good on that. But let's take advantage a little bit of this maybe 10 minutes that we have, or a little bit more, and let's
Okay.
practice a little bit of the test. Okay. So I would like for you to well, not only you, and hopefully the people also that are watching us right now, well, that's gonna watch us later on. Let's do this part. I can give you some time for you to do
Mm-hmm.
this part, and we're going to practice three different parts of the test today, and
Okay.
we're done. Okay, but I chose very small parts, right? Like in this part, uh, this is definitely part three of the reading and use of English test. This part, this word is
Mm-hmm.
consider. Okay, it's a little bit it's not,
Mm-hmm.
very clear here, but the word is consider. Okay, but let's work on that right now, and I can give you some minutes for you to do this part. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
let me first of all, because I don't want the people that's gonna be there, just let me just
Okay. Okay.
pause the. Okay, now let's check the answers. Well, for the ones that are looking or watching this video, please pause it and wait for or do the exercise, and then after that, play again so that you can see the answers. Okay, let's see the answers. Jose, for okay, number one would be existence. Existence.
Existence. Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect. The other one would be
Location.
location.
Okay.
Mhm. The next one would be successful.
Yeah.
Perfect. Then number
Require
four, requirements.
requirements.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Good. Then number five, I think this was one of what this was one of the most difficult. Would be
Funding.
funding with
Funding.
ing,
Okay.
with
Yeah.
ing, funding. Then number six, regeneration.
Re-
Regeneration.
okay. Regeneration. Yeah.
Uh, and number seven,
Likely.
you miss unlikely.
Um.
Yeah,
Unlikely.
unlikely. That would be
Oh,
unlikely. And number eight,
consider.
reconsidered.
Re.
Uh-huh. Reconsider. So how many correct did you get?
Seven.
Seven. Good. Good, Jose.
Yeah.
Wow. Good. Uh, yeah, as I was telling you before, too bad that you didn't do the test this this December, but that's okay. Let me see here. Okay. Yeah, we don't have more
the
pictures here.
the listening part is very difficult for me, and
Yeah,
I think
I know
that
that
I
that's
need
like
to
your
improve.
right, that's your most difficult part, right?
Yeah. I
Well,
need to
and
improve.
just to finish this lesson for today,
Okay.
and again, remember, I'm gonna send you the well, the picture for the audio, and once
Hmm.
we finish that, you can do right away the audio if you want the listening part. Okay,
Okay.
and then I can also send you the answers for that. But now then, just to finish our lesson, let's focus now on this part. Remember this part, you just need to write your own words, just based on on your grammar. Okay, so let's see if you can do this part.
Okay.
I can also give you some time. Just put the answers again. Okay, so these are the answers for part 2. Number 9, which. Number 10, up. 11, or. 12, like. 13, so. 14, are. 15, fact. And 16, what. Okay, well, we just we are finishing today's lesson. Again, we're going to send you the picture, and we also going to send you the picture for the listening part. Okay.
Okay.
So thank you very much, Jose, and thank you very much, guys, for hopefully listening this class. And see you then on Wednesday, Jose.
Yeah, see you next Wednesday.
Okay. Bye bye.
Ciao. Bye bye.